Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another interview on the different topics on human resource management and wellness for quality management. How are you doing, Ganesh? Thanks for joining us again. We're
My
excited
pleasure,
to
Harry.
hear and learn more things from you. So
Thank you for having me on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us again. So we are going to talk about the team development and team building today, and what are some of the tools and techniques that we can use to improve our team collaboration and synchronizing our work out of the 4 domains of achieving success in project and business. The main domain, which is the people domain, would not be effective and successful unless the team works together very well. So tell us a little bit more about what you think about it.
Many a times organizations forget that it's the people that make the organization, or it's the people that actually build new products, come up with great ideas. And also many a times people don't work in silos, they work in groups. So the Tuckman model is one of my favorite models that I use for team development. It's simple, and it works really well with the management 3.0 principles as well. Not everyone likes the model. You'll hear a lot of people saying that it's not relevant anymore and things of that sort. But I still like the model. It's simple. It's easy to remember. It does not need you to do too much. It's easy to deploy as well. So
you brought up a couple of the interesting topics. One is we learn about Tuckman in PMBOK and as part of our interpersonal skills when we're building teams. And actually in PMBOK 7, they don't talk about it as much. Like you said, some people feel it's not as relevant or whatever, but I love the model because I feel it's very relevant, and it helps you with recognizing what stage are you, or what is the next phase that you need to watch out for and how you can prepare for it. A lot of times that I have tension with my co-workers in building our team, I'd say, oh, we're in the forming phase. That's why we don't know each other, or we're in the storming phase. We're trying to understand each other's preferences and our style. And so that helps the self-awareness of us and our relation with the team. So I think it's very relevant. And if people say that it's not relevant, I usually tell them, what other tools do you have in your toolkit that you can show me or propose? And maybe we'll adopt that.
When you're at the first stage, it's essentially a group of people who've not worked with each other, who've never known each other, coming together, trying to figure each other out. All of that is happening. So you're trying to figure out who you are in this team. What do you bring? There's so many things that happen, that go on in your mind as you're coming together. But as a facilitator, what I try and do is try to ease people in by bringing in some of the management 3.0 tools, like the personal maps, for example. I love using the personal maps. It's one of the management 3.0 tools which we talk about in our foundation classes as well, and it's one of the first things you do when you're forming teams. Most of the time, everyone likes it. There might be times when people might be like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we getting straight to work? And that needs some amount of facilitation. And it's important to understand what drives people to behave in certain ways and things of that sort. But so personal maps are, like mind maps, essentially, where you're trying to understand people, what their hobbies are, what their values are, what their goals in life are. And it can be customized based on what the team is trying to do. Is it a team that's worked with each other? Is it a team that has interpersonal issues that they're trying to resolve, based on which you can tweak the personal map to facilitate teaming. It's a really powerful tool. One of the other things that we bring in when we are at the forming stage is also the value stories. You introduce the value stories between the forming and the storming stages, because as you introduce value stories, you start understanding what values drive you as an individual. And as the team evolves rapidly and gets from forming to storming, this is a stage where you'll see a lot of personality bursts, or whatever you want to call it. Like people start asserting what their values are, or what their what their goals might be, or who they are, trying to figure out how they fit in the teams. And they've gotten a little bit more comfortable in this structure, and they're trying to now position themselves in the team as they self-organize. So
And
the
they're good
value,
icebreakers, actually. I mean, initially, when people get to the team, you have no decision of why they hired you, for example, to this company, or who hired you for what purpose, and what strength did they realize that you have that is beneficial to their team. So
yeah,
in the beginning, you're lost. You're like, okay, I see this nice area, nice place, and I'm the new guy. So you need to introduce the people, their values,
yeah,
their competencies. And as an icebreaker, these exercises that you have, it's very good when you have new people getting together at the same time. Like you're saying,
yeah,
okay, this is a new project, let's put together these people. But in our industry, usually that doesn't happen that way, meaning that usually two people start and then they say, okay, we need more support. So they become 3 and 4, and then they become 5 and 10. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
this workshop that we did was very interesting and nice, and because all of us were new to each other. But
mm,
if it's something that they've done maybe once together, and then now they're going to do it again with 2 new people or 5 new people, how does that work? Because to me, that's like, if I have a new team that is getting together, I know this is nice and exciting for everybody to do it together.
mhm.
But if it's a team that is building and it's forming, maybe through maybe a year or 2 years, whatever, and new people come in, old people go, and people are
Yeah,
getting replaced. Do we need to do this thing every time we have a new person?
I try and keep these in Miro or Mural for the
Mm,
team to always go and look at. So if there's a new person coming in, they have the
mhm,
ability to go in and make their own personal map and look at the other people, other team
mhm.
members or other colleagues, their personal maps as well, and try and find a connection with someone who might have
Nice.
a similar
Mhm,
hobby or something of that sort. But if
mhm,
you're bringing people together where you have a mix of new joiners, or maybe people from another department, it's a good conversation starter. So you don't need to redo the personal maps, but you can bring up the personal maps and say, hey, here are some colleagues that you'll be working with. Why don't you pick up a personal map and tell us what you find interesting about
mhm,
another colleague over here? So
mhm,
this new person then gets to look at, let's say, an existing personal map and talk through that
mhm.
persona and share with everyone what they take
I
away
love it.
from that personal
Mhm.
map. So
So this would be one of the onboarding, for example,
sure.
exercises that you can
Hmm.
do as you give a package to the new person to say, this was given from your line management. This is the mind map that other people in your team have created. Go through it, create your own in common with other people. Let's talk about those. I mean, and instead of everybody
Yeah.
creating the new mind map and going through the same workshop,
Yeah.
now they have the new guy saying, this is me, and this is what I found interesting about you, and this is how I can connect with you. And this is a great
Yeah.
icebreaker. Thank you for suggesting that. I love that.
Sure.
The
Yeah.
value one, to me, it could be a little bit of controversial, meaning
Yeah.
that the organization has a certain understanding of their values and why they created those values as a team or organization. So the new guy come in and he looks at, or she looks at the list and like, oh, these 5 I believe in, and this is why I believe in it, or this is how I look at it. And
Yeah.
then the organization gonna say, no, 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 that's not what we meant by it. This is what we meant by this, or this is how you need to look at it. How do you solve that kind of situation where you have conflicts in perspective on the same value?
So there's only that much you can do in terms of aligning values. If I come in with a different definition of a specific value which does not align to an organization's value, we need to see how much of a connect we can build with what exists, and still make that connection with our personal value system. Because if that connection's not there, you're not going to be in that organization for long. You will disengage, you will start searching for another job, and you'll be gone. So if there is, and again, a lot of these are abstract, like we've discussed before as well. You might say excellence, or you might say power, which might mean different things for different people. But once you align on the definition, we as individuals then need to see, does that make sense to us? Do we agree with that value? And are we ready to imbibe those values and make them our own, so it becomes more relatable? So I think that's really important to do. So even when you're forming a new team, this is a subset of the organizations, and that's why I love introducing value stories at the beginning, because very quickly from forming, the team moves towards storming as well. And this is where you want people to figure themselves out and form team charters, form shared values. So you help them come to that point where they start thinking about forming a set
Interesting.
of team values. Yeah.
I like that. Actually, I know you might want to go through all the 5 stages in one shot, but I think that there's a lot of good value in what you're saying, and I'm learning a lot here. I hate to go and pass these things so quickly. If you don't mind, we can maybe
Oh,
do
yeah,
1
yeah.
or 2 of these
Sure.
stages, and then move as we finish the discussion. So what I learned from what you just said was the value exercise that we do could be best used as a team in the forming stage when you are trying to align yourself with the values of the organization. However, as a team, you need to establish your own value system, because you're saying, we want to align with the organization, definitely, but because we're working on such project, or at this stage, or at this phase of the organization, maybe the nature or discipline, we need to focus on this area rather than this, or this is what we need to value more. Not that we don't value the stuff from the organization, but let's pick the 5 that will match us with the organization, as well as match us together as a team to be more effective. So in developing the team charter, that's the key word that you just said, is that team needs to do its own value assessment of how they look at those value systems.